Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commission meeting for November 1st, 2018 is now in session. Would you stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. We have here today Vice President Commissioner Barb Lewis, fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton, almost forgot your last name there, Sarah DeNovo, their clerk today, and Mike Cromer, administrator. Let's begin.
Resolution number 18-1203, in the matter of approving the electronic record of the proceedings from regular meeting held October 29th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1203. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We have no public or elected comment this morning. Resolution number 18-1204. In the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates, and payments of warrants and batch number CMAPR 1031.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1204. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1205. In the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1205. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
I believe we have on the agenda, Ms. Hawes is going to give us an update on the address change.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Communications Director. I want to take the opportunity of having a captive audience here to announce that we're today launching our information campaign about the address changes that are coming on January 1st for the Hayes Building and for the courthouse. The courthouse's address currently has been 110 North Sandusky. On January 1st, it's changing to 117 North Union Street, and the Hayes Building has been 140 North Sandusky. It will change to 145 North Union Street. And the rationale which you approved in session and authorized us to go ahead with this is because essentially the main addresses for both buildings face North Union Street. And as we observed, especially after the courthouse opened, a lot of people were getting confused about driving or walking to the buildings and finding their way in. So led by Don Houston, our deputy administrator, we figured out what the process was to make a change. The city of Delaware has approved it. We'll go ahead on January 1 with officially, but we're beginning the process, everyone getting the stationery and business cards and envelopes reprinted. From what Jerry Warner at the city tells me, it filters its way through all the different information sources that exist, like with our auditor's office, their office, to basically your Google Maps apps, picks up that information.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything ourselves.
Okay.
They find their way to the information.
So it automatically finds its
It
way.
is, yeah, and it's weird little Ethernet way, yeah, I guess. So we are today, though, starting to get the word out. We're putting up posters, social media. We're going to be announcing it on press releases, things like that, hoping that 2 months is enough time for people to realize that this change is coming. So just wanted to apprise you of it.
Question. Judge Gormley asked me, he said that there's also some confusion because we still have that sign, courthouse.
That's,
on the corner of Central and Sandusky, and he said people are still, it's like they see it, and
Yep, that is in the process of being moved.
Oh, that's great, okay.
They've found the spot in front of the courthouse where they're going to move it from, and I've asked them, tell me the day you're doing it, because I want to get pictures, and then we can put that out on social media and hopefully help people realize. So, yeah, and at some point we've got to decide what we're going to name the historic courthouse to help people understand once it has its new use and life after the renovation. We'll have to come up with something snappy. So,
Like Commissioner Building.
Yeah, well, something.
I think that's what we call this one. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So the name just could follow us. I'm being a little sarcastic.
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah.
So So I don't, any questions with this?
On the agenda is the request to fund the improvements to the sidewalk and curbs.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. Also, Marshall Court,
Right.
between the two buildings, as part of this, is going to be vacated
Right.
from vehicular traffic. It will still be accessible for emergency vehicles, but it will be essentially become a pedestrian walkthrough in there. And the work that, yeah, we have to commission, because we have to change the curb cuts on it, and I know there's something with the grading that they're doing that would keep it accessible for the emergency vehicles, but will make it clear to regular traffic going by that, no, this is not a street to drive down anymore. So,
That's
So
an
the-
important part
I'm
of the
sorry.
change. It's an important part of the change, is to
yeah, thank you.
clear
for
that alley's
reminding me
not
of
for
that, yeah.
regular traffic.
Yeah, so there will be some signs to redirect traffic,
Oh, yeah.
people who are used to going that way.
Right. And as part of our plans for 2019, we're also looking at the expenditures for wayfinding to change the signage with this whole campus area, what we're calling kind of the main campus here in downtown Delaware, to better help people understand where they're headed and what they're looking for. So, any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the job you and Don. I've had a couple of conversations. I know Don's done a lot of the background work, and thank you for everything. And I do think once it gets done, it will be a good thing for everybody. I think it's going to eliminate a lot of confusion, especially the jurors who come. They're here once a
Yes.
year,
Yeah.
and it'll be a lot clearer for them and a lot cleaner, I think. So
Yeah, no, that's the feedback we're getting, so, yeah, thank you.
thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's proceed.
Resolution number 18-1206, in the matter of accepting the award of the Victim of Crime and State Victims Assistant Grant for Victim Services.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nicole Ford with the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. Once again, we've been awarded the Victims of Crime Act and State Victims Assistant Act grants. These grants will allow us to continue to fund and employ our Victims Director, Trish Wright, Victims Assistant, Megan Powell, and our Civil Protection Order Specialist, Penny Bennett. All of these positions are extremely vital to serving the victims of crime in our community. We are requesting the grants be awarded and accepted into county funds. We have been awarded $200,631.47, $39,705.09, which is a local match. The grant will did begin October 1st, 2018, and will conclude September 30th, 2019. We will have the opportunity to renew this grant.
Any questions or comments?
Great.
Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1206. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1207, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriations for the Delinquent Tax Funds and Victims of Crime Act grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
The Prosecutor's Office is requesting supplemental appropriations for the Delinquent Tax and Victims of Crime Act grant funds to get us through the remainder of 2018. The Delinquent Tax Fund has the cash for this appropriation, and the Victims of Crime Act grant will have the funds after the cash match is transferred.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1207. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Nicole.
Resolution number 18-1208, in the matter of accepting sanitary sewer improvements for the Heather Ridge Section 1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Benton, seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. Heather Ridge is located in the Clarkshaw area, and there are 32 homes in this section of the subdivision, and we request your approval of this plan set.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1208. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1209, in the matter of certification of delinquent accounts to the county auditor for accounts to be assessed to payable year 2019 taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
So once again, we have our quarterly certification of any accounts that are past 90 days due and exceed $25. This quarterly certification amount totals up to $146,718, which equates to 4.61% of our accounts, and that is in line with what we see on a regular basis.
I say it every time. It's unfortunate we have to go through this exercise. we'd like to think that everyone pays their bills promptly.
Yeah, I looked at the detail. Tiffany was kind enough to share the detail of the list and review it, and it's all over the county. I mean, it's not, or all over the service area. It's
Yeah,
all
we've-
sorts of different roads. There'll be multiple addresses on the same road, same subdivisions. It is puzzling.
We actually did take that a step further after I sent you that information. I think it's about 2,500 homes per year, 2,500 different homes per year that at some point are certified to the taxes. And I think there were about 650 that
Chronic?
basically never pay. And it's certified every single quarter.
So the way you collect is just through the property taxes, and they
Right.
pay an additional fee to have that process done.
Correct, yeah.
Is
they
it fee or
pay-
interest, or?
There is, yeah, there's a fee every time that they are late. I think it's 10%, I can't remember.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah, what the penalty was.
Yeah, it's like $109 instead of
Right.
$99, I think.
Uh-huh.
So they do pay a fee, so they're paying an extra $40 or $50 a year to not pay their bill on time, so.
Yeah.
It is, it's puzzling that we'd have
Yeah.
so many homes, because it's like 1,400 or 1,500 homes.
What usually reduces that percentage is if you shut the water off. Most utilities that have combined water and
Right,
sewer,
right.
because usually it's a condition of turning it back on. So that's one thing that the sewer doesn't
Yeah, we
get
don't
shut
have
off.
that ability to do that, so.
But there is a possibility that we can do that down the road, because I think Delco is willing to work, or have that conversation. So
Yeah.
just leave it there, because I don't make any commitments for anybody, but that is a disadvantage we have, and you can't cut off sewer, but you can't cut off water, so.
I know we collect a very high percent of the property taxes every year. I think it's close to 99%. Treasurer Peterson does a good job on that. So we end up collecting the vast majority of this the following year.
Yeah, we do. We actually have that information as well. Let's see, 2017, we certified a total of $523,000. $65,000 of that, the payments were made, after the initial certifications. So there was $450,000 that was actually certified in the end to the taxes. And I could follow up with what we actually collected after that final certification as well,
And worst case scenario, we collect when they sell their property, I guess. That's
right?
okay. Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1209. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Resolution number 18-1210, in the matter of approving cash advances, transfer of funds, and supplemental appropriations for the Big Walnut Interchange Project, Sunbury Road Improvements, Mothers Road Improvement, South Old State Road Improvement, and for ditch maintenance.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Lewis, second by Commissioner Benton. Discussion?
Good morning, Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. We have several accounting actions that need to be made for some of our project-specific accounts handling federal funding involving Big Walnut Interchange, Sunbury Road, Smothers Road, South Old State Road, as well as ditch maintenance, which is, as you know, a non-general fund. So I can go through this in detail if you'd like, or I can just answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions or comments or desire for further insight?
Yeah, if I would appreciate it if you'd kind of.
Sure.
I'm interested in the updates on the projects. South Old State looks like it's done, almost done.
Yes, we did open all of the travel lanes last week to the public, so we're very happy to have that done, and traffic seems to be moving very well on South Old State Road. There is still work to be done on the roadsides, the sidewalks, the final grading, road signs, that sort of thing still needs to be done, and that will be over the next, as weather allows, through this fall, and then I expect the contractor will be back in the spring to finish up some remaining work. So, but by and large, that project is substantially complete, and the cash advance associated with that project is due to a utility reimbursement that we have not yet received from ODOT. As you may recall, we are receiving 80% federal funding for the right-of-way and the right-of-way and utility phase. ODOT needed some additional documentation, but in the meantime, we have been sitting on an a Delco invoice that we have not been able to pay because we hadn't received the reimbursement from ODOT. So this would allow us to go ahead and pay that invoice and then get reimbursed back for
There's
that.
no concern about the reimbursement, just the timing of it?
This is all timing, just a cash flow issue, really, to be able to make that payment, but ultimately, we'll get reimbursed for this. Any other questions on South Old State? I can, the Big Walnut Interchange, as I explained in my email, we haven't gotten quite as much done on that project as we had hoped this year. We've been working very hard with ODOT to get through one of the approvals that ODOT needs to make, which is the purpose and need. It's basically the core statement of what the project is to accomplish, and basically all the future efforts we make on the project are compared to this statement, and it is required for the National Environmental Policy Act. So it's an important part of the project from a federal and state standpoint. I think we all kind of know what we're trying to accomplish out there, but it's a matter of putting it into words in such a way that you can defend it later. So long story short, that's taken more time than we expected, so we haven't gotten as much work done. We're actually asking to decrease the appropriation for this year. Sunbury Road.
On the Big Walnut, that's one of the handful of items I get a lot of questions about. At the Orange Township Business Association that Commissioner Merrill and I attended Tuesday morning, I think it was. Ryan Rivers had a presentation and had different phases of that with different calendar dates on it. And the off-ramp and on-ramp for the southbound lanes was next year. So I didn't know if that was consistent with what you're thinking at this point. They were going to do parts of the interchange in phases, I guess, is one of the things I took away from
I
it.
think that would have shown 2023 to 2024 for the on and off ramps.
I don't remember seeing the year.
Yeah. And I provided that to Mr. Rivers
Okay, I must have misread
days
it then.
ago. So but yes, the plan right now and what we're working towards is a construction starting in 2023. Realistically, that's as soon as we think we can get the project ready to put a shovel in the ground. There's a slew of approvals we'll still need for this project in addition to the normal project things like acquiring right-of-way, moving utilities, and obviously the design of the project. So I've told you a number of times, these projects take a long, long time because we're not the ones that get to make the decision, and really nor is ODOT. These approvals have to go through Federal Highway Administration, and so just the way government works.
I know that Ryan was very optimistic about the project being completed. I'm going to just pose the question, are we 100% sure that it will happen at this stage, or 80%, or 90%, or?
Well, I can never say 100% because there's so many things that can happen. What I can tell you is that ODOT has this on their Tier 2 track list, which means we are authorized to continue through design and right-of-way acquisition. So we are certainly approved to do that. Next year, I would anticipate making a request to ODOT track for $10 million in funding assistance for the construction phase. So if we're successful, I think we'll have the funding package, I think, figured out in a way to get Phase 1 built. If we don't get that $10 million, we'll have to discuss some other alternatives to get Phase 1 built. So it's not exactly an answer to your question, but that's what we know right now. I'll put it this way, I haven't heard anything from ODOT or Federal Highway that would indicate we should stop working and abandon the project. We're continuing to plug away. It just, there's a lot of work to be done.
So when we're asked, and we are asked, we can say with a reasonable confidence that it will happen.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
And starting in, you say, the work would start in
2023
Oh,
is
gosh.
when we
Okay,
have it
I'm glad I
programmed.
clarified that.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to start this in 2020.
Okay, okay.
And you might want to call
Yeah,
Ryan
promise
just
that.
to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who then are going to be waiting
It was
for a
interesting.
long time.
Well, I remember looking at the graph, or at the slide, and he had, again, I could have sworn it was 2019, starting the southbound exit and on-ramp, and then 23 was the 2023 was the off-ramp and the extra lane on the northbound side.
I'm not sure where that came from. I really don't.
Maybe it's the design. The design.
Yeah, that could be, he was talking about the design work, yeah.
Could be.
Oh, my gosh, okay. Wow.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just on Smothers, Red Bank, and Shot, that roundabout is really working well.
Great,
Thank
yeah.
you. And I know we are actually, what are we approving here? Transferring the funds for that. And it's great. I think it's working well, and people are really happy, so.
Thank you. We've gotten quite a few compliments on that project, and that was, I'll say it again, that was a really nice partnership between Delaware County and Franklin County to get
Yes.
that project done. So the transfer you're seeing is our portion of the local share. I think I
Okay.
mentioned we got about $1 million of federal funding for that project, and then the remaining plus or minus $800,000 is split 50-50 between us and Franklin.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1210. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1211, in the matter of approving right-of-way work summary sheet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
We had 4 permit applications. We've reviewed the proposed work and recommend approval.
Any questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1211. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1212, in the matter of approving the owner's agreement for Maple Glen and Africa Road shoulder improvements, ditch setback for Maple Glen.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Maple Glen is a new 14-lot subdivision off Africa Road, just north of Plum Road, on the east side of the road. It will be a private street, built to public road standard, and they will be making some shoulder improvements to Africa Road as part of that subdivision. And so this is otherwise our standard owner's agreement, and recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1212. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1213, in the matter of approving bid specifications, estimate, and setting bid opening date and time for a curb and sidewalk replacement project, Delaware County Courthouse, Hayes Building.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
You just heard about this from Jane Hawes. This is will involve installing, or I should say replacing the existing curbing to make that the Marshall Court Courthouse entrance accessible by fire and emergency vehicles, but it will prevent through traffic from using that. We did try to contract directly for this work. Unfortunately, we are limited to $50,000, and the estimate for this work was just over $50,000, so we are having to go out to bid for this work, and the estimated cost is about $70,000.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1213. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1214, in the matter of approving service agreements with Heritage Land Services Incorporated for right-of-way acquisition services and Principal Real Estate Group for appraisal services for DEL-CR13-1.65, Worthington and Africa Road.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
As you know, we are working on improvements to the Worthington and Africa Road intersection. These contracts involve the right-of-way acquisition phase. Heritage Land Services will do the project management and negotiation for the additional right-of-way, and then Principal Real Estate would perform the appraisals for the additional right-of-way. And this, we do plan on having all the appraisals and be ready to go out, talk to property owners over the winter, and then most of that discussion will happen next year in preparation for a 2020 construction start.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1214. Mr. Merrill? Aye. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1215, in the matter of accepting improvements within the project known as North Road widening at North Farms.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This was work done by the developer at the developer's cost. Last year, the work was inspected by our office, looks to be everything in order, and we are recommending that those improvements be accepted and the surety released for this work.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1215. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
3 minutes.
so we'll do reports. Mr. Fromer.
Good morning, Commissioners. The only thing I have to report is next, we're ramping up and getting ready for our budget hearing starting on November 7th. So we're less than a week away, and we're very excited putting all the information together, so. That's all I
Are
have.
you really excited?
Yeah. Yes.
He's excited he's done with all these meetings, I'm sure. Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Mr. Lewis?
I represented the county at the Main Street 2018 Main Street Awards, and we received an award for the Best Public Building Rehabilitation Award, and we're not talking about like an assisted living place. We're talking about the Delaware County Courthouse. And so John Melvin was with me, and who should get much credit for the building of the new courthouse, but Main Street Delaware honored us with this award, and very nice reception and continental breakfast, so I was happy to represent the county.
Very good. Commissioner Benton?
Just a couple things. Got Central Iowa Youth Center meeting this afternoon, and we'll be doing budgets for that, so I know I'm excited. Talk more about budgets. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to the SEBCO board meeting. Their meeting starts at 10 down at the CAO headquarters, and looks like I'm going to join the board next year. So there's just a lot going on at SEBCO, as Dawn well knows, and they're looking at a lot of new things going forward. So I think it'll actually be a very interesting and hopefully beneficial board to participate on. Lastly, the Ohio Township, or Orange Township Business Association meeting was Tuesday morning, as we mentioned earlier, and there were 3 honorees that I want to just give a shout out to that they gave for Good Neighbor Awards. Covelli Enterprises, which is the owner and operator of the Panera Bread, or Panera Bread restaurants. Is bread in their title still? Mm-hmm. Okay, Panera Bread restaurants. And they're out of Warren, Ohio, so they own 350 restaurants.
I knew it was over 300. I didn't know what the number was.
Yeah, 350, and they're opening that one right there in front of Lowell and Tangi Crossings, which I'm sure I'll spend a fair amount of time and money in. And they're good neighborhood partners. I want to give them a shout out and congratulate them on their award. The next one was the Creekside Development Award, which is proving to be very promising. Bob Lamb in his remarks talked about the success of the Creekside project. The McCurdy family are the ones that have developed that project, working with the county and Orange Township, made it come to fruition, and that's going along very well, which just reinforces that we need to do more of that in other areas of the county as well. Get these industrial and commercial areas ready, truly site ready or shovel ready, so we can attract more good businesses that we're working on. Lastly, the 3rd award went to Mount Carmel, there in Lewis Center, Mount Carmel Health Center, which do a lot of good things in the community, and I go there on a regular basis. So anyway, that's all I had. Congratulations to Orange Township for a good presentation and lots of good things going on, and it's good to see the township doing well and well led.
Now, I used to go to Mount Carmel about 3 months ago, and I'm on a deferral right now. I have never seen you there. We must go at different times.
Yeah, I'm usually on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
So
it's a great facility. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, and not that crowded, unfortunately. I mean, it's a beautiful facility with swimming and spa and weight and exercise. I mean, it's a remarkable facility.
Top-notch facility, a great addition to certainly Orange Township and directly the county. As usual, when Mr. Benton goes in front of me, there's kind of...
Well, I look at your agenda and put it on mine.
But I would say this, I thought Ryan, this was their first annual awards, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought Ryan, who, he was at least the MC, I'm not sure if he, his concept or the trustees as a whole, but regardless, it was extremely well done. Two of the trustees were there, and he and Lisa, and thought it was very well done, very well attended. I'm going to say over 100.
Yeah, I bet easily.
And, a lot going on, and I think they have great leadership down there. And with that, I believe we can now, we've stalled long enough
We can.
at the hearing.
Resolution number 18-1216, public hearing for consideration of the English 346 watershed drainage improvement petition filed by Christopher and Nikki Acker and others.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1216. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1217, in the matter of approving for a specific occurrence a suspension of Rule 3 speaker registration, Rule 4 limitations, and Rule 7 public comment procedure from the rules governing public comment before the Board of County Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1217. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Okay, with that, I have just, because obviously this isn't new to us, because we do a lot of these, but it is new to people who come here specific to a petition. So I just kind of read through how we'll proceed, kind of give you the guidelines so you know what to expect. And again, welcome to the first hearing of the English 346 Watershed Drainage Improvement Petition. There's a sign-in sheet that's circulating around the room. Please ask that you please sign it. We'll hear a report from the county engineer and Soil and Water Conservation District. And then we'll take any questions that the board might have. Then we'll hear from all those who are in favor of the petition who wish to speak. Then we'll hear from all those opposed to the petition who wish to speak. And during the testimony, you'll be asked to take the oath. I'll also ask you to give your address and of course, your name. We'll continue back and forth if new information comes up or additional people wish to speak or add additional information. Again, we'll take questions from the board. And then after listening to the testimony and the report of the engineer, the board will decide whether to grant the prayer of the petition or dismiss the petition. And these are the factors the board considers. Whether the board finds that the proposed improvement is necessary, that it will be conducive to the public welfare, and the board also finds that it is reasonably certain that the cost of the proposed improvements will be less than the benefits. And if the board grants the prayer of the petition, the Delaware County engineer will proceed with preparation of plans, reports, and individual schedules of assessment for the project. And when those plans are complete, a final hearing date will be set, notification of the hearing will be given, and the board will then consider the project, and again, with the people such as you here for that meeting. With that, I will turn that over to Brett.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. I will read the first hearing report into the record. Sorry.
I know you have to.
This report has been prepared for the preliminary hearing on a drainage improvement petition filed by Christopher A. and Nikki L. Acker and others on May 16, 2018. The petition has been signed by representatives of 8 of the 43 parcels in the watershed. Additionally, one landowner has filed an amendment to add their signature to the petition. This amendment was accepted by the Board of Commissioners on August 23, 2018, and adds an additional 4 parcels to the represented count. The general location and course of the requested improvements is quoted from the petition as follows. In Delaware County, Brown and Berlin Townships within English 346 watershed and generally following, but not limited to, the course and termini of the existing improvement. The following is the nature of the work petitioned as quoted from the petition. To generally improve the drainage, both surface and subsurface, to a good and sufficient outlet by replacing, repairing, or altering the existing improvements as required and or creating new surface and subsurface drainage mains or laterals as requested by this petition. Petition process. This petition has been submitted according to Section 6131 of the Ohio Revised Code, ORC, which authorizes the Board of Commissioners to act on behalf of benefited property owners to make drainage improvements. If the Board of Commissioners decides to proceed with the project, the costs related to the improvements and the development of plans, reports, and schedules are assessed to the landowners in the watershed according to the benefit received to their watershed acreage. These special assessments will be added to the property taxes for each property and can be spread over a maximum of an 8-year period. Property owners may also choose to pay their assessment in a lump sum payment prior to placement on their property taxes. Additionally, the improvements will be placed on the Delaware County Drainage Maintenance Program in perpetuity per ORC Section 6137, and the annual maintenance assessment will appear on property tax statements as a special assessment in the same manner as the construction assessments. These annual maintenance assessments are generally in the range of 2 to 3% of the construction assessment. It should be noted that property owners are only assessed for those improvements that are located downstream from their properties. No property is assessed for improvements located upstream. The public agencies that own rights-of-way for public roads and other public lands are also assessed for both construction and maintenance costs in the same manner as private property owners. The decision to approve a petition project is a 3-step process. First, a viewing of the proposed improvement is conducted for the commissioners to familiarize themselves with the watershed and general conditions. The commissioners conducted the viewing for this project on August 13, 2018. Next, a preliminary hearing is held to consider the initial feasibility of the proposal. It is this preliminary first hearing that is before us today. If this petition is approved, a final hearing will be conducted to further consider this petition. At that time, final details such as engineering plans and specifications, cost estimates, and a proposed schedule of assessments will be known. Existing conditions. The Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District and Delaware County Engineers Office have made the following observations of the watershed using on-site evaluation and a review of available aerial photography, topographic mapping, and soils mapping. The English number 346 watershed is approximately 430 acres. The predominant land uses within the watershed are agricultural, comprising 50% of the acreage, and commercial, comprising 40%. The remaining portion of the watershed is road and railroad rights-of-way, 6%, and rural residential, 4%. There are 10 rural residential properties in the watershed. The drainage system does not appear to be functioning at or near optimum capacity due to a lack of comprehensive maintenance and the generally deteriorated condition of the infrastructure. There is siltation in the open channel that has led to the main tile having restricted flow at the outlet. The open channel also has a large amount of brush and debris on the banks and in the channel, thus restricting flow. Numerous blowouts have been observed in the subsurface drainage system. The absence of uniform surface grading has resulted in areas of surface ponding. These conditions are indicators of an aged, overburdened, and unmaintained drainage infrastructure. While the existing drainage system still provides some degree of drainage benefit, it does not appear to function as a good and sufficient outlet. Estimate of cost, factors favorable, unfavorable, benefit versus cost. ORC 6131 requires the county engineer to state in a report factors favorable and unfavorable to a proposed project, estimate the cost of the project, and state an opinion as to whether the benefits of the project exceed the costs. The following information is presented for your consideration. Construction estimate. The proposed project has been divided into 3 distinct areas of work: main, lateral A, and lateral B. The main portion is the open channel from the outlet of the ODOT road culvert approximately 300 feet east of the Glen Road-Sunbury Road intersection and extending to the junction with the O'Brien number 1102 drainage maintenance project. The main would include the following basic elements: open channel restoration, clearing and snagging, private drive culvert installation, the construction of a grade stabilization structure, and seeding and mulching of disturbed areas. Lateral A is located on the north side of Sunbury Road. It extends from the main tile outlet to approximately 3,400 feet upstream. It would include the following basic elements: surface drain shaping and grading, subsurface drain replacement, and seeding and mulching of disturbed areas. Lateral B is located on the south side of Sunbury Road. It extends from the inlet of the road culvert approximately 300 feet east of Glen Road to approximately 2,600 feet upstream. It would include the following basic elements: surface drain shaping and grading, subsurface drain replacement, and seeding and mulching of disturbed areas. Main, construction, $35,400. Drainage maintenance, ORC 6137, first year startup, 5% of the construction estimate, $1,770. Project administration, survey and engineering, 15% of the construction estimate, $5,310. Total project estimate main, $42,480. Lateral A, construction, $53,900. Drainage maintenance, ORC 6137, first year startup, 5% of construction estimate, $2,695. Project Administration, Survey and Engineering, 15% of the construction estimate, $8,085. Total project estimate, lateral A, $64,680. Lateral B, construction, $37,200. Drainage maintenance, ORC 6137, first year startup, 5% of construction estimate, $1,860. Project administration, survey and engineering, 15% of construction estimate, $5,580. Total project estimate, lateral B, $44,640. Total project estimate, $151,800. Notes. It is important to understand that the above estimates are preliminary and made in the absence of a current detailed topographic survey of the project area. Should the project fail to be approved at the final hearing, the benefiting landowners, as defined by ORC 6131, may still be responsible for the cost of project administration, survey, and engineering design. Assessments. If the project moves forward to the second hearing, the Ohio Revised Code instructs the county engineer to calculate the assessments to individual property owners based on the benefits received from the improvements for the various properties in the watershed. ORC 6131 states that, quote, uplands that have been removed from their natural state by deforestation, cultivation, artificial drainage, urban development, or other man-made causes shall be considered as benefited by an improvement required to dispose of the accelerated flow of water from the uplands. Benefits are further defined by the ORC as elimination or reduction of damage from flood, removal of water conditions that jeopardize public health, safety, or welfare, and increased value of land resulting from the improvement. Individual parcel assessments are not calculated for the preliminary hearing and are only calculated if the petition moves forward to a second or final hearing. Factors favorable, unfavorable. Factors favorable to the improvement: improved surface and subsurface drainage in the watershed, improved outlet for subsurface drainage components of household sewage treatment systems and for residential drainage systems, reduction of future deterioration of surface and subsurface drainage infrastructure, annual inspections and maintenance of the improvement in perpetuity. Factors unfavorable to the improvement: temporary land use disruption during construction, cost of construction and maintenance may be a burden to some landowners, removal of existing trees and brush in the improvement area. Benefits versus cost. Assessments for property within the watershed are calculated based on the benefits derived. A publication by the Ohio State University Extension titled Returns to Farm Drainage details several studies conducted by Ohio State researchers on the effects of drainage on crop yields. The studies show that fields with good drainage will produce higher yields than fields that have poor drainage. A recently completed 25-year study showed that subsurface drainage increased corn yields by 24% to 39% and increased soybean yields by 13% to 46%. The same study also analyzed the return on investment for installing subsurface drainage in a field. It found that for corn, $4 is returned for every $1 invested, and for soybeans, $3 is returned for every $1 invested. To state it generally, the benefits of drainage will equal the increased yield multiplied by the market price. The increased value or benefit for residential properties is much more subjective and difficult to quantify. For residential properties, the lack of an adequate drainage outlet can negatively impact the condition of household sewage treatment systems, potentially limiting the value of the home for resale. Should the existing system fail, the cost to perform repairs or construct an alternate sewage treatment system can range from the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. It would also be reasonable to consider the cost of environmental degradation due to residential sewage treatment systems that may not be functioning properly. Other benefits that are commonly perceived as a result of drainage improvements focus on quality of life and positive neighborhood perception. Communities that have planned and maintained stormwater drainage infrastructures generally have higher resale values than those communities that are known to have a history of drainage problems or flooding. Conclusions. Based on all of the information gathered and generated for this project, I believe this project is technically feasible and would adequately serve the project area's drainage needs. However, the testimony brought to the board by the landowners as to whether the benefits of this project exceed the cost should be given significant consideration in the decision to move forward with this project. Should the current petition be approved to proceed to a final hearing, the petition bond will be returned and detailed plans, specifications, estimated costs, and a schedule of assessments would be prepared. Additionally, a benefit versus cost analysis will also be performed to further determine the feasibility of advancing this proposed project.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I had a,
No, go ahead.
I had a few questions for Brett. Why did you split the analysis into the three pieces instead of just the one main project that was initially?
It is split to reflect the decision that we would present to the board at the final hearing, assuming the engineering would play out as we would anticipate. I would anticipate presenting this as a decision where the main would be needed to do the improvements for lateral A and for lateral B. They would be dependent on improving the main. Lateral A and lateral B would be independent of each other and would not necessarily be needed to approve them to do the work on the main. The other reason is just a better reflection of the costs and assessments for the landowners. The landowners that would have benefit of lateral A would have no assessment or need for lateral B, and vice versa. Lateral B is not dependent on lateral A, therefore they would not be burdened by any of the costs for lateral A. Lateral A and B are both dependent on the main.
Okay.
So that is the reason.
We've had a couple of these recently.
We have.
Where we had split projects like that. So,
Yes.
So that will be the decision, is we can approve the main and not the laterals, or not?
At the final hearing, yes, I would, obviously, we make these estimates and kind of formulate this without the benefit of survey and really kind of rolling up our sleeves and doing our on-site work, but preliminarily, that is what I'm anticipating.
Are the residences and commercial buildings on septic now in this area?
Yes, I believe. The commercial buildings, I'm not certain of what I can't imagine. They're in the city, so I've got to imagine they're tied into city sewer. But the residences, to the best of my knowledge, are all on home site sewage treatment systems.
Have you, I noticed I remember when we did the aerial viewing, which is a great way of doing it, that there were clearly issues in the farm land, in the acreage where they're trying to grow crops. Have you noticed issues on the residential and or commercial?
I'm not aware of any issues on the commercial end, and I believe we have a representative from the commercial property here today. I've had a couple conversations with some of the residents that have signed the petition, and they are experiencing drainage issues on their properties, yes.
Okay. Because it is largely agricultural.
It is. The watershed is almost predominantly agricultural and the commercial properties, so.
I have a question. Lateral A and lateral B both connect into the main.
Mm-hmm.
So lateral A would also have responsibility for the main as well?
Correct.
Okay, B and main.
Correct.
Just want to confirm what I thought
Yes.
I knew, just to make sure.
Yes, the entire watershed would bear an assessment to improve the main. And I have not, other than identifying a potential path for the proper, or for the laterals, I have not subbed out those watersheds to really break that down. But obviously, the lateral A is going to be the area north of 3637. Lateral B would be the area south of 3637, so.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Then we'll move to anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of the petition. The gentleman came in, did we get him to sign the, okay, great. Anyone here, who, again, I'll repeat it, did anyone here who's wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Okay, if there are none, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition to the petition? Okay, you guys are making this awful easy. I will re-ask the question. Any other questions from the board?
No. Yeah, good report, and I particularly like the aerial viewing. It really gave us a better perspective rather than just on site. It really does help.
With that, is there a motion to close the hearing?
I will move that we close the hearing.
Second?
Resolution number 18-1218, in the matter of closing the public hearing for consideration of the English 346 watershed drainage improvement petition filed by Christopher and Nikki Acker and others.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1218. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye. And I would like you to read the granting the prayer of the petition.
Resolution number 18-1219, in the matter of granting the prayer petition and directing the Delaware County Engineer to proceed with preparation of plans, reports, and schedules for the English 346 watershed drainage improvement petition.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion? You made the motion, anything you want to add, or?
No, I think it's, I think it's good to move to the next stage. You'll get more information, and then we can make a final decision.
It appears, I think, to the board here that it meets the criteria under which we need to make an evaluation. And with that, then move to vote.
Vote on motion 18-1219. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
With that, I believe we have no need for executive today. Is that correct? So we are adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right.